Let's set sail tonight as the Federal Executive Council has approved the 2026-2028 medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, and fiscal strategy proposals preparatory to the 2026 budget presentation to the National Assembly. It was at the Federal Executive Council meeting this Wednesday where President Bola Tinubu also directed ministries, departments and agencies to prioritize growth-enhancing projects in their capital expenditure. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab has all the details of the meeting.
Year 2025 is winding down, and preparation for 2026 fiscal year dominated deliberations here at the meeting of the Federal Executive Council. Central to other considerations is the proposal of the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning on the 2026-2028 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, and Fiscal Strategy Paper. Information and National Orientation Minister Mohammed Idris moderated the briefing session afterwards as breakdown of the MTEF came through. The key players take the key parameters a notch higher to, for the first time, include a target oil production and benchmark for the production. For 2026, the oil price benchmark is $64.85 per barrel. The target oil production is put at 2.06 million barrels per day, while the benchmark oil production is 1.84 million barrels per day. The exchange rate proposal is $1,512, and the GDP growth rate is expected at 4.68%. Total budget for the coming fiscal year is 54.46 trillion naira, with a budget deficit of 20.13 trillion naira.
The Federation revenue is estimated at 50.74 trillion. This is the revenue that is shared by the three tiers of government, whereas based on that, the distribution among the tiers of government, that the federal government is projected to receive 22.6 trillion from the federation account, while the state and local government are expected to receive 16.3 trillion and 11.85 trillion respectively for the local governments. Accordingly, the total federal government of Nigeria revenue from all sources is projected at 34.33 trillion, inclusive of 4.98 returned by government-owned enterprises. And this figure is lower by 6.55 trillion, or 16% lower than that of the 2025 budget estimate.
In other matters, the Council called for vigilance to tighten up against revenue losses while urging the sub-nationals to invest more in security.
There should be increased federation vigilance to eliminate revenue loss from illegal activities in the oil and gas sectors as well as critical mineral sectors.
Meanwhile, the Council approved an Islamic Development Bank support of $50 million in favor of Yobe State, as well as a $1 million African Development Bank investment loan to support young entrepreneurs in SMEs.
Support of various kinds under that AFDB program, and we all know what that means in terms of being able to support and help and assist and encourage young entrepreneurs at the lower levels.
All ministries to meet quarterly with the Ministry of Finance, the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Economic Management team, so that they can continue to prioritize projects, especially in view of the performance of the budget itself. There was also a decision taken by the Federal Executive Council to establish service centers for agricultural mechanization in the 6 geopolitical zones. This indeed will help to support and boost agricultural mechanization that will in turn also improve all year round farming across communities in Nigeria.
The minute silence.
The council honored a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Joy Ogu, who passed away recently. She served between 2006 and 2007. From the State House, Musbah and Wahab, NC News.
Meanwhile, the National Economic Council has approved 100 billion naira, subject to a final ratification by President Bola Tinubu, for rehabilitation of training institutions for police and other security agencies in Nigeria. This followed recommendations by the ad hoc committee earlier constituted to assess the state of police and security agencies' training institutions nationwide. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that at its 154th meeting held virtually, NEC also approved the 2.6 billion naira for consultancy services for the project.
President Tinubu had, at the 152nd meeting of the National Economic Council in October 2025, proposed the overhaul and revamp of training institutions for security agencies nationwide. Chairman of the ad hoc committee and Governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, had in his presentation to Council underscored the urgency and significance of the condition of the training facilities, saying most of the training institutions are in their condition.
What we did as a committee is to segment the 55 institutions, identifying 25 of those locations in the first phase. Those 25 locations are the training schools and the training colleges. Because of the urgency and because of where we are in terms of security in the country today, we felt that those locations that can absorb and train the recruitment that the president has approved, the 30,000 and just recently additional 20,000 recruitment. We thought that we should focus on the training institution.
And I will call on our colleagues to kindly and immediately approve an amount that will make Governor Peter Mba and his team to swing into action and start addressing our core challenges, especially in fixing the training facilities, for instance, mentioned by the Governor of Nasarawa State.
To not be out of place, if NEC recommends that each state should have a training facility for the police, especially with the clamor for the establishment of state police.
The ad hoc committee on polio eradication also gave an update by the chairman, Gombe State Governor Inwe Ahia, noting that the committee has met 4 times between June and November 2025, deepening political commitment, strengthened coordination, and ensured that states remain firmly engaged in the national push to interrupt the remaining variant polio virus transmission. The Minister of State Petroleum Gas made a presentation on the cost and availability of domestic gas, particularly the payment of outstanding obligations to gas producers to encourage increased production and supply for domestic consumption. Approving the committee's prayers to, among other things, concur with President Bola Tinubu's approval for the payment of the outstanding obligations to the tune of 185 billion naira to gas producers to ensure improved supply of gas for domestic production. Vice President Kashim Shettima also charged the governors of the 36 states of the Federation to ensure that economic reforms by the state governments translates into clear, measurable improvements in the lives of Nigerians. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Similarly, Vice President Kashim Shettima has implored state governments, ministries, departments and agencies of government, the organized private sector and other stakeholders to do more in advancing the business environment in Nigeria. He gave the charge during a gala and awards night organized by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council to celebrate exceptional public service delivery, reform excellence and collaborative efforts towards improving Nigeria's business environment. Again, State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila has all the details.
The various categories of awards, including Access to Justice, Legislative Trailblazer, Leadership of Action, and Business Advocacy and Partnership, among others. Vice President Kashim Shettima acknowledged the successes recorded this year, describing them as the triumph of collaboration over silos, saying when the 36 states of the Federation, ministries, departments and agencies, development partners, and other critical sectors commit to working together across the board, it becomes a big win for Nigeria.
We are building a competitive Nigeria, one reform at a time. At the federal level, MDS recorded significant improvements in service delivery timelines, transparency and digital adoption, as evidenced in the Business Facilitation Act Performance Report released today. At the state level, our business environment reforms have achieved remarkable traction through the $750 million State Action for Business Enabling Reform SABA program.
These sustained reforms have translated into faster turnaround times for businesses, improved investor confidence, and a more predictable environment for economic activity.
On the global front, we've been able to amplify Nigeria's reform story and reinforce investor confidence. As we proudly speak, each time we go out on international missions.
High point of the occasion was the unveiling of the 2025 Business Facilitation Act Compliance Report and the Subnational Ease of Doing Business reports. From the State House, Brahman Jibrila.
Behind of activities at the State House today as 5 new permanent secretaries have been sworn in by President Bola Tinubu. Correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab reports that the ceremony was the first event today at the State House.
5 high-ranking federal directors got presidential approval after due process. Dr. John Eziamama represents Imo State and Ibrahim Uzi has the slot of a federal capital territory. Others are Dr. Abdul Sule Garba from Niger State, representing the North Central Geopolitical Zone. Dr. Ishaku Mohammed from Gombe State represents the Northeast Geopolitical Zone, while Dr. BRM Ukire from Abia State will represent the Southeast Geopolitical Zone in the body of the Federal Permanent Secretaries. President Bola Tinubu also inaugurated the newly appointed chairman of the National Population Commission, Aminu Yusuf from Niger State, alongside 2 new commissioners for the commission. The 65-year-old former chairman of Wushishi local government area and former member of the Niger State House of Assembly comes in when Nigeria is due for new census figures, and the new NPC chairman promises to lead a transparent process when it is time.
This country needs a transparent, acceptable census, which I have promised. I have taken an oath there with my commissioners. By the grace of God, we will be transparent in whatever we do, in the conduct of census, so that at the end of it all, it will be acceptable by Nigerians.
Meanwhile, the federal government is yet to give a go-ahead for the conduct of new census that was earlier suspended because of the 2023 general elections. From the State House, Musbao Dan Wahab, NT News.
Many thanks, Musbao. Let's look away from the State House now. A new sheriff in town, you may say. Senate has confirmed the appointment of General Christopher Musa as the new Minister of Defense. 2 unanimous resolutions that stood out at the exercise are: the killings must stop and no more ransom payments to kidnappers. Let's hear Lamiali.
Who authorized the withdrawal of soldiers 30 minutes before the operation that saw to the kidnapping of the MAGA, 25 children in MAGA?
Now that we are debating on the propriety of having community-based police, state police, etc., I want to know the position of the incoming minister.
What are you going to bring to bear based on your experience at the operational level to the policy level so that Nigerians can go to sleep with their two eyes closed?
When people can no longer go to their farmland, yet nobody is occupying the farm, but for anybody who goes does not come back home, can you look at that sector?
The 5 hours of ministerial screening, the longest in the history of Nigeria's parliaments, of General Christopher Musa, the defense minister nominee, whose appointment is seen as strategic to overcoming the myriads of challenge of insecurity in parts of the country, elicited deep-rooted questions regarding the peculiar state of security in Nigeria.
I saw what happened in the southwestern part of this country when these issues of banditry and, well, not banditry, kidnappings and the rest was trying to become the order of the day in southwest. Use that kind of system.
You cannot solve this problem with aggression. The military must go back and review the civil operational manual, which engage legitimacy, engage interpersonal relationship, engage talking to each other.
We don't know whether it is true that some people who have voluntarily surrendered to work for the federal forces are being reabsorbed into the intelligence gathering of our system. Is it correct?
One issue that has brought Nigerians together is the nomination of General Musa as Minister of Defense.
Aware of the high expectations on this mandate, General Musa's answers were laced with renewed hope. But he says we have to be practical to overcome the challenge.
I think one mistake we make is we think the armed forces can solve all the problems. The armed forces solution is just 20-25%. Majority has to do with good governance, building capacity, working together with all the other MDAs. The terrorists that we're dealing with think Nigeria is so rich that when they come to Nigeria, they can make it. So anything they are doing anywhere, their target, end state, is to come into Nigeria. And that's why it's important that we must make sure that we secure our borders and deny them the entry.
One thing that is most impressive is the fact that you are against negotiation with terrorists. This Senate is against negotiation with terrorists. The nomination of General Christopher Musa is hereby confirmed as a minister of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Before the commencement of the screening, Senate passed for second reading bill that prescribes death sentence for kidnapping.
There is hardly any region of our country that no kidnapping cases are reported. This development has instilled widespread fear in communities, undermined national economic activities and agricultural output, interrupted children's education, bankrupted families due to payment of ransom, claimed countless innocent lives, as well as overstretched our security forces.
Also passed at second reading is the Legal Practitioners Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill, with provisions to reform law practice in Nigeria. Meanwhile, Senate has commenced investigation into the Safe School initiative as the ad hoc committee vows to uncover sharp practices in the funding and implementation.
Federal Minister of Finance was tasked with managing the initial Safe School Fund. Reports show that over $30 million were mobilized between 2014 and 2021.
The report of the committee will be submitted in 6 weeks. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
All eyes on General Christopher Musa, who is a seasoned military officer with unwavering commitment to excellence. His passion and discipline shaped a distinguished career that saw him rise to the apex of the Nigerian Armed Forces as the Chief of Defense Staff. After delivering on his mandate as Defense Chief, he took a bow. 39 days later, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu nominated him as Minister of Defense, a nomination swiftly confirmed by the Senate. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa tells us more about this general.
Gallant, energetic, and constantly in a buoyant mood, General Musa approaches national security with the mindset of a man who sees every challenge as a mission that must be accomplished. Born in Sokoto on December 25, 1967, he received his early education in the state before proceeding to the College of Advanced Studies Zaria in 1986. He gained admission into the Nigerian Defense Academy, graduating in 1991 with a Bachelor of Science degree. Commissioned as a second lieutenant the same year, General Musa rose through the ranks, holding key operational and administrative roles. As Commander Sector 3 in Operation Lafia Dole and later Multinational Joint Task Force in the Lake Chad Basin, General Musa coordinated multinational operations aimed at containing insurgency and cross-border extremists. In recognition of his professionalism, he received the prestigious Colin Powell Award in 2012, an honor that celebrates integrity, discipline, and outstanding military service. As the Chief of Defense Staff from 2023, he championed intensified counter-insurgency campaigns, joint operations, and boosted troops' morale through improved welfare system and equipment upgrades. General Musa was also a strong advocate for indigenous defense technology, fostering deeper collaborations with Nigerian defense manufacturers and research institutions to reduce dependency on foreign procurement.
Both from the state, local governments, and the federal government are working together in tandem, and that has made it a lot possible. And again, we've been able to reach out to the populace that we need their support. They see something that is wrong, let them report, and working together, both the kinetic and the non-kinetic, which is very, very clear, very good. The kinetic being the military action, non-kinetic has to do with good governance, carrying everybody along, showing dividend of democracy, and that has helped greatly.
Now, as he steps into the position of a Minister of Defense, expectations are high. Many believe he will bring critical battlefield insight into policy formulation, shaping defense procurement, force readiness, and interagency coordination in line with Nigeria's evolving security needs. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Indeed, the expectations are very high, and still talking security matters, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of Kano State has expressed confidence that a joint security task force deployed to communities along the Kano-Katsina state's boundary will soon achieve significant success in clearing the corridor of criminal elements. During an assessment visit to the area, the governor, who reaffirmed his administration's commitment to providing the necessary support to security personnel, also emphasized the importance of coordinated intelligence gathering and collaboration between security agents and local residents. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
Sanyawa is one of the local government areas located along the Kano-Katsina boundary. In recent weeks, armed bandits have reportedly been crossing over from Katsina State to launch attacks on some communities in the area. In Enkamai, for instance, 6 people were abducted and an elderly woman killed during one of the raids. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf's visit to the affected communities is to commiserate with residents and assess the security situation for further action. At the operational base of the Joint Security Task Force deployed to tackle the breach, the governor urged personnel to remain vigilant and proactive to ensure that the bandits' activities are brought to an end.
I want to assure that we will do everything possible to continue to support you, to encourage you, to boost your morale so that you can discharge your responsibilities in a better way.
He also visited other security teams stationed in Farurwa and Sauri in the neighboring Shanuna local government area. Commander of the 3 Brigade Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Ahmed Tukur, informed the governor that plans are underway to establish a permanent military base to enhance security along the corridor in Kano. Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
And still talking security, but heading to the Green Chambers now, the members of the House of Representatives are appealing for 7 public officers to be excluded from the recent presidential directive for the withdrawal of police personnel from VIP protection duties. This is one of the several resolutions adopted by lawmakers as fallout of a recent House debate on rising insecurity in the country, which shall be transmitted to the executive for implementation. National Assembly correspondent Mitara Ikme reports.
The House, at the Committee of the Whole, considered draft resolutions arising from its recent special plenary on security.
Some of the resolutions include placing all security expenditure on first-line charge, security coverage for schools and worship centers, and the establishment of a special court to try cases of terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping. The House also advocates prohibition of ransom payments, reactivation and upgrade of all public CCTV systems, and establishment of new police and defense formations in volatile regions. On VIP protection, lawmakers harped on the vulnerability of serving public officers.
Those who are protecting our justice system shouldn't be so exposed that they will be silenced before delivering the justice for which we selected them to work for the nation. For me, I would not be comfortable for the CJN of this country to move around without protection.
Deployment of police and military personnel for VIP protection should be diligently enforced with the exception of serving public officers.
Those who are also going to be exempted, maybe one person will be engaged with 10 police officers, which is irrelevant. One person will be followed with 10 police officers, while there are a lot of vulnerable areas that they're supposed to be engaged.
Any advanced country, advanced system, they don't use guns to protect individual and VIPs. It's intelligence gathering technology that protects.
The House drew attention to the spate of abductions in Kogi State, with commuters and worshippers as victims, attributing the deplorable condition of the Kaba-Egbe Road and mining activities among factors.
Urge the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to put a complete stop to all mining activities in Yagba East, Yagba West, and Mopamufere constituency as an antidote to the constant terrorist attack fueled by the so-called miners. To further urge the President to mandate the security chief to comb all the forests and rescue the abductees, both in Ejiba and Idofin, from the abductors.
A minute silence was observed by lawmakers for some personnel of the Nigeria Police, Customs and Immigration killed by bandits recently in Kebbi State, with a call on the security agencies to apprehend the culprits. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikwen, NTA News.
And still on activities of the House, following the approval granted to the federal universities to recruit more staff, the House of Representatives is urging heads of the institutions to ensure federal character principle is strictly followed. This re-echoed during the visit of the Committee on University Education to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and others in the Northwest Zone. National Assembly correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali has the report.
Another day of oversight, ABU Zaria was the first port of call in the Northwest. Violation of the revenue streams to the Federation account, especially 25% fiscal responsibility remittance, generated debate.
Can we have an idea of how many students that you had for the year 2024 that generated this amount?
What we receive here is just the portion of the share of the university.
You are the most representative, and I want to commend you for that. For this tolerance, for ability to recruit from all over the world. The other issue that I would like to, which we are not compliant this time around, is the issue of the IGR.
You have added to our documents and the very, very thoughtful comments that you have made to help us to do well.
The committee also expressed reservations over documents presented by the management of Bayero University, Kano.
Let me start with 2023. That welfare packages is spent 281 million, according to your document. Welfare. You can't tell me that you don't have financial challenge.
I do believe that this ultimately wouldn't be a thorough representation of what comes in as IGR.
Total of over 6 billion unspent fund. We actually don't rush in spending the money because our session is is terminating in March. And usually we have huge expenditure at the end of the session. I believe by March you will see this unspent balance will drastically go down.
The oversight also took members to the newly established federal universities of education in Zaria and Kano. Pioneer vice chancellors were advised to follow due process in recruitment and managing the internally generated revenues. For the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Kachia, and that of Division of Agricultural Sciences, Zaria, were asked to stay action and resubmit their records within 1 week. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
All right. Many thanks for staying with us. As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to commemorate the 2025 International Day for Persons with Disabilities, the emphasis is on the need to include persons with disabilities in all aspects of social development to build a more just and equitable world. Our correspondent on disability matters, Gufan Shaji Ugwai, reports that the theme for this year IDPD Day is fostering disability-inclusive societies for advancing social progress.
This year's observation of the International Day for Persons with Disabilities calls for commitment to work alongside persons with disabilities as equal partners to build a more accessible and resilient society.
We are going to address the issues of exclusion, the issue of health, the issues that pertains on discrimination in general.
I want to see individuals begin to showcase themselves as benefactor of inclusion.
The day also acknowledges the persistent barriers that persons with disabilities continue to face, such as limited access to work, education, and social protection.
A lot of buildings, even new ones, springing up, and they are not really accessible for persons with physical disabilities like me.
Nigerian Sign Language, if it is recognized in the Constitution, it will help us to bridge the gap.
For the legislator to make sure that we have a bill for the sign language so that it will become a kind of policy document.
Now what left for us is for us to be included with a special seat in the National Assembly, which will be contested for by people with disability and also being representative.
This year's theme, fostering disability-inclusive societies for advancing social progress, also highlights the fact that inclusion is not possible without the full participation of persons with disabilities. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ugwai, NTA News.
And in line with her conviction that the nation grows stronger when every individual is empowered to contribute meaningfully, Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has provided a financial support of 200,000 naira to 9,500 persons with disabilities across the country. She flagged off the disbursement with 250 physically challenged military and police veterans at Mambila Barracks, Abuja, to mark this year's World Disability Day. Let's hear State House correspondent Adeniyi Taiwo on this.
They walk under the weight of their disabilities, unbowed but hopeful for a society rich in empathy. On a day dedicated to them, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu joins the celebration bearing gifts under the social investment scheme of the New Hope Initiative. A total of 9,500 persons with disabilities across the country received a financial support of 200,000 naira each to recapitalize their existing businesses. Flagging off the disbursement at the Mambila Barracks, Abuja, for 250 physically challenged veterans from the military and police, the First Lady says fostering a disability-inclusive society is a sure pathway to advancing social progress.
A truly inclusive society is built when we stand together, creating opportunities that empower everyone to contribute their unique gifts to our collective progress.
Since it was initiated in 2023, the New Hope Initiative, through the Business Capitalization Scheme, has strengthened over 100,000 businesses, including persons with disabilities with grants. There is more to come, says the First Lady.
In recognition of our shared responsibility to promote inclusion, The governing board of the Renewed Hope Initiative has resolved to make the Economic Empowerment Program for Persons with Disability an annual event to be held on December 3rd. To all our beneficiaries, I encourage you to make good use of this opportunity. Let it be a seed that grows into something greater.
For the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, who was represented, the intervention is a clear demonstration of compassion in action.
By equipping beneficiaries to expand or sustain their small businesses, this initiative lays a foundation for sustainable livelihood.
On behalf of the entire Depower family, I reaffirm our commitment to complementing your vision by advancing programs that uplift, empower, and restore dignity to families within the armed forces and police communities.
It can go a long way for me to help my wife in assisting our business, to help me too.
I will pay my children's school fees and I will take care of my health.
This provision of financial support to people with disabilities echoes past and ongoing interventions by Renewed Hope Initiative under its social investment scheme, and that includes medical and food outreach across states. With this, the First Lady is passing a strong message of social empathy and economic inclusion for the vulnerable in the society. From the Alero Aziza Event Center in Mambila Barracks, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
In the same light, lives of about 250 persons with disabilities in the Federal Capital Territory were touched. Hawa Gamba reports that the First Lady was represented at the event by the wife of the Vice President, Nana Shetima.
In a bid to promote inclusion and economic dignity for persons with disabilities, the Nigerian First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has extended support and grants to 250 beneficiaries across the FCT, represented by the wife of the Vice President, Nana Shetima. The empowerment is to ensure that no one is left behind.
To recapitalize their existing businesses and strengthen their means of livelihoods. Also, each state of the Federation, the Federal Capital Territory, and the Defense and Police Officers Wives Association have received 50 million naira.
Setting up a fully engaged response team, and one that isn't just about response, but active in the place of the interventions.
For the persons with disabilities, their joy knows no bound with the support. But, like Oliver Twist, they appeal for a safer and more inclusive environment.
She has done well. She has tried enough to touch the life of people living with disability, and we sincerely appreciate her even presence with us today.
It will pay us more if the government will look into providing a monthly allowance.
Organizers say they are more poised to enhance the well-being of persons with disabilities. Hagwagimba, NTA News.
And still celebrating people with disabilities in Borno State, the spirit of inclusion and support took center stage as the Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, marked the International Day of Persons with Disabilities with an economic empowerment program targeted at boosting small businesses for 250 persons with disabilities. The ceremony held in Maiduguri was led by the wife of the Borno State Governor, Dr. Falmata Babagana Umar Zulum, who distributed 200,000 naira each to the beneficiaries, from civilians living with disabilities to the injured veterans from the military and the police. Pauline Kujevana was there.
In Borno State, where communities continue to rebuild after years of conflicts and humanitarian challenges, it has become imperative to pay particular attention to those who face multiple layers of exclusion, especially women, girls, and people living with disabilities. Aside the 50 million naira cash support, with each of the 250 beneficiaries receiving 200,000 naira, they were also given sanitary kits, buckets, and mats to support their personal needs.
I wish I could speak Yoruba, so that I can talk in Yoruba.
We will use this opportunity to expand our businesses and put an end to street begging.
Wife of Borno State Governor Dr. Falmata Babagana Umarazu asked the recipient to make meaningful use of the assistance.
Those that are not doing anything and are begging should stop begging and do something with the amount that they were given today.
It will sustain whatever the government has started, and we're indeed very grateful to the wife of the president.
Representative of the UNFPA, Chris Macaulay, reaffirmed commitment to promoting dignity and safety for all, while responding to gender-based violence with special measures designed to protect and uplift persons with disabilities. Globally, the International Day of Persons with Disabilities serves as a reminder of the inherent dignity, right and value of every individual, highlighting the unique contributions persons with disabilities make to their communities. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
In the same vein, as Wales commemorates the International Day of Persons Living with Disabilities, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, under the Renewed Hope agenda, has empowered PWDs across the nation. Wives of state governors represented the First Lady. Annie Daniels compiled the reports.
Abigail Bashi from Nasarawa State reports that Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by wife of Nasarawa State Governor, empowered over 250 persons with disabilities in the state with the sum of 50 million naira.
This money that we are sharing to you people, please use it wisely.
In Lagos State, Joy Kenababaya reports that the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by the Lagos State Governor's wife, restated the federal government's commitment to building a more inclusive society where PWDs can thrive and contribute to national development. This was further demonstrated by the launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative Economic Empowerment Program for PWDs.
A truly inclusive society is built when we stand together, creating opportunities that empower everyone to contribute their unique gifts to our collective program.
Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by the wife of Jigawa State Governor Hajia Hadiza Umar Namadi, empowered 250 PWDs as federal government's commitment to give them a sense of belonging, as reported by Mohammed Musa Askira.
Our social investment programs have provided financial and material support to victims of floods, communal clash, and disasters.
And Caleb Obuna from Abakaliki reports that to strengthen the means of livelihood for persons with disabilities, 250 PWDs received 250,000 naira each under the Renewed Hope Economic Empowerment Initiative, spearheaded by Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by wife of Ebonyi State Governor Uzamaka Muifuru.
500 persons with disability across Nigeria will be benefiting from this program, which is amounting to the sum of 1,900 million.
In Abuja, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
It's all about persons living with disabilities today, as the federal government is taking major steps towards improving access to quality education for children with special needs, as education stakeholders across Nigeria converge to develop a national inclusive education implementation framework. It is expected to address gaps such as teacher training on inclusive pedagogy, provision of assistive learning devices, early identification and assessment of learners with special needs, community awareness, and establishment of inclusive, friendly school environments.
We've made progress, but our efforts have been fragmented. The lack of coordination between stakeholders has hindered our progress. We must address this gap and develop a unified strategy for inclusive education in this country.
Every Nigerian child, regardless of their challenge, should have the opportunity to learn, to thrive, and to contribute meaningfully to our nation.
We plan for these societies where we can have equal rights and participation alongside.
Earlier on, we had a conversation with a disability advocate, Faith Masengo, who emphasized the need to foster a more inclusive society for persons with disabilities. Take a listen.
We are calling for not just the signing into law, but also the implementation, the rolling out, seeing disability inclusion in action. And we are happy that the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities is leading this work in Nigeria. I know that also Nigeria has also signed the African Disability Protocol, which is domestication of the UNCRPD, and so much is going on, but there's still more that needs to be done in terms of accessibility, inclusive education, inclusive health, and no discrimination of persons with disabilities, especially in the workplace. We're calling also for 5% of persons with disabilities to be hired in workplaces. So seeing that come into fruition would be the real victory.
Disability advocate Faith Masengo there. It's still News Extra. Glad to have you back. Nigeria is taking another major step towards cleaner air and a more climate-resilient economy. As the UK Partnering for Accelerated Climate Transitions, UK Pact, launches a new national initiative to strengthen private sector capacity for climate and clean air action. Musa Abubakar reports.
Nigeria's cities are growing, but so are the challenges. Every year, over 200,000 lives are cut short by air pollution, while greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise. The transport sector alone contributes more than 15% of these emissions, but now change is on the horizon. In Abuja, business leaders, policymakers, regulators, and civil society actors came together for the launch of a UK-funded initiative designed to equip Nigeria's private sector with the tools, knowledge, and support to tackle climate change and improve air quality.
Support partner countries to realize their ambitions to develop a greener and more resilient economy and help them implement their climate change objectives.
The UK Pact program, led by the University of York's Stockholm Environment Institute in partnership with Nigerian organizations, will provide technical support, training, and policy guidance. Companies will develop finance-ready climate and clean air action plans, gain access to climate financing, and align with Nigeria's NDC 3.0 targets.
Providing them with the methods, the training, and the partnerships to exploit, to take climate action and to build much more resilient transport system.
Private sector in Nigeria is projected to grow quite substantially, and with that growth will be an increase in emissions. So we need to make sure that we decouple economic growth.
How do we decarbonize that sector? We need to have private sector involvement. How do we get that private sector to understand, the nuances of what is required?
Over the next 15 months, the program will expand nationwide with a follow-up launch in Enugu on December 4th, strengthening collaboration and paving the way for cleaner air, lower emissions, and a more resilient economy. Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
In other news, with a renewed commitment to strengthening confidence and trust among Nigerians, the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation is assuring the public of enhanced financial stability as it continues to expand its operations through digital innovation. At the 46th Kano International Trade Fair, the Managing Director of NDIC, Thompson Oludari Sunday, urged Nigerians to update their bank verification number by ensuring it is correctly linked to their proper names, stressing that this is a vital tool for effective service delivery and protection. Aisha Obali reports.
Before now, the absence of formal deposit protection, frequent cases of banking distress, and limited regulatory frameworks left many depositors frustrated. However, The establishment of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation helped eliminate these bottlenecks through various innovations designed to strengthen trust and ensure the fulfillment of its mandate.
This collaboration is what it does to keep them further informed, for them to know what we stand for, for them to know what to do and what not to do in banking, where to keep their money, where not to keep their money.
At the 46th Kano International Trade Fair, speakers commended the event, describing it as a catalyst for innovation, business networking, and a platform for promoting financial literacy.
With this, a lot of things can be carved out, and the partnership will be renewed between Chamber of Commerce and the NDIC.
With several instruments now in place to expand customer protection coverage, the NDIC reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to safeguarding depositors, particularly the vulnerable population. Part of the key resolutions announced is the need for Nigerians to correctly link their BVN to their proper names and ensure they conduct their banking activities only with NDIC-insured financial institutions.
The 46th Kano International Trade Fair is attracting different stakeholders, and among them is the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. However, the corporation has assured Kano people and Nigerians as a whole there will be more sanity in the practice of insurance and more protection for Nigerian depositors. In Kano, Aisha Ubali, NTA News.
Many thanks, Aisha, for that update. Now, the organized private sector of Nigeria, OPS, comprising the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, and the National Association of Small-Scale Industrialists has urged the National Assembly to withdraw the proposed amendment to the Customs, Excise and Tariff Bill, stating that the current draft of the bill is misaligned with the federal government's fiscal reform direction and contains several legal and administrative gaps. This was stated during the public hearing on the proposed amendment bill held on Thursday, 27th November 2025 at the National Assembly. The OPS explained that the NAD sector is committed to supporting government revenue and public health objectives. The OPS maintained that Nigeria's excise framework is increasingly fragmented as new levies are introduced without coordinated assessment of their combined efforts on production, investment, backward integration, employment, exports and inflation, which may result in unintended consequences, negating President Tinubu's administration's key economic reforms without delivering measurable public health gains. The group says, given that the beverage industry falls among the non-oil revenue contributors, passing the bill into law could undermine the administration's ease of doing business objectives at such a sensitive economic period. It faulted the National Assembly for advancing the bills without coordination with the Ministry of Finance, the Presidential Fiscal and Policy, as well as Tax Reform Committee and other responsible institutions, noting that the bill contradicts the President's emphasis on stability, predictability, simplicity and non-disruptive tax reform. He emphasized that global and domestic evidence confirmed that steep or ambiguous SSB taxes in low-income economies lead to job losses, contraction of MSMEs, reduced government revenue and no measurable health benefits, while widening inequality and accelerating the growth of the informal market. The group pledged a committed engagement with lawmakers, fiscal agencies and the civil society groups to ensure that any revision to the excise regime supports the investment, jobs and long-term revenue stability. Now, moving on to other news, the National Broadcasting Commission is demanding more professionalism and compliance with guidelines captured in the Broadcast Code. This expectation comes at a time when emerging trends and technology are shaping the broadcast landscape amid proliferation of new media houses. Ayodeji Makinde reports.
The growing list of breaches of the Broadcast Code is a cause for concern. With inciting statements, harassment of guests, misleading and confrontational journalism on the rise, NBC is meeting with these strategic communicators to refresh on the need to be compliant with Nigeria Broadcasting Code and legal obligations, Director General of the NBC, Charles Ebuebu, harped on the elevation of editorial judgments above emotional attachments and duty of responsibility to halt rhetorics that drive things over the edge within the polity.
You sit in a position of responsibility to the platform or the station you represent. Whatever you do wrong falls on the station. It's a vicarious liability, basically. And you have one chance, basically, most times, to be able to correct it live on the spot, rather to let it slide, and then it becomes acceptable news, which is unverified and not justified with evidence.
We have to have a country first before we talk about broadcasting. So we have a duty to keep our country alive and well.
These experts questioned and lauded the NBC in an appraisal of its operations, urging closer monitoring of pidgin and indigenous broadcasts nationwide. The broadcast code is set for review with an imminent release of the 7th edition, with professional practice the standard set by NBC. To attain a collective commitment, it reassures its readiness to build capacity of members and readiness to apply sanctions on non-compliant organizations. In Abuja, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
Let's talk health. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, says while major global health financing reductions from Western governments have impacted developing nations disproportionately, President Bola Tinubu's aggressive mobilization of domestic resources to bridge funding gaps has assured access to life-saving medications and health services for Nigerians. He made this known at an interactive session with parliamentarians of the European Union at the EU Parliament in Brussels, Belgium, citing President Tinubu's $200 million contribution to HIV and AIDS treatment for Nigerians. Professor Pate noted that while Nigeria's new engagements for sustainable health partnership with the United States government have reached an advanced stage, President Tinubu's effective health sector programming has positioned Nigeria as a leading continental voice in the advocacy for win-win partnerships built on trade, economic growth, and workforce longevity.
Brings private capital and development capital from Europe and innovations and entrepreneurship to catalyze growth in our market as we get into the manufacturing path. That will create jobs, that will create economic value, it will create health commodities and get on a part of sustainability.
Another break is due at this point. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you for remaining with us. Contrary to some beliefs in some quarters that government has no business in business, the federal government, through the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, is advocating the creation of governance structures and processes that ensure government-owned enterprises are successful. This was at the inauguration of a panel to assess and reward performance of government-owned enterprises across the country by the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, in Abuja. Benny Adams reports.
Nigeria has a history where government-owned businesses have failed to live up to expectations. But that trend is changing as the infusion of corporate governance structures and processes are beginning to gain traction.
The standard we want to set, we don't have enough takers, then everybody has to go away and do better. Because I don't think you can come down. It's not a race to the bottom by any means. And of course, what will shine through in this is resilience, renewal, because the economy is being renewed.
To this end, the federal government, through the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, is introducing a reward system to celebrating excellence amongst federal government's portfolio of state-owned enterprises. This is aimed at raising the bar of performance and governance in Nigeria's public sector.
If we create those structures, that culture, the framework, and the systems, then we're almost guaranteed of certain successful outcomes. And that is why for us, it's not about saying that we want these state-owned enterprises to do A, B, C, D. It's about creating that governance structure.
Seated in this hall are members of an independent judging panel supported by an expert advisory consultant, and their role is simple: They are to oversee a fair, transparent and rigorous evaluation process for all participating entities to ensure the highest standards of objectivity and credibility, leading to the selection of finalists whom have made the most impact to lives of Nigerians by 2026. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a group of contractors under the All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria has taken their grievances to the gates of the Federal Ministry of Finance. They are protesting alleged delays in the payment for projects they executed in 2024. The contractors erected tents and brought supplies, saying they will not leave until their demands are met. They complained that the prolonged delay in payments is crippling their businesses, weakening the capacity of local firms and undermining their ability to compete.
Some of us borrowed money from individual lenders, some borrowed money from banks, some borrowed money from microfinance, several financial institutions to execute this job.
They appealed to government to expedite action on paying them their entitlements. Another break is due. Please remain tuned.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10x better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs. Oh, wow. You can now see that Harpic is better than bleach.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil? Every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance Rice Bran Oil is rich in Gamma Original. Golden Terra Smart Balance Oil reduces bad cholesterol.
Guest? Oh no, and the bathroom smells like this?
Fancy hand wash? Come to the front. Sponge older than Uncle George. Please hide behind. Last year's face wash. Time to cover your face.
You can hide all that junk, sure. But how will you hide the smell anymore?
Godrich Air Pocket? Wow!
With Power Gel technology, keeps the bathroom fresh for up to 30 days. Godrich Air Pocket. Bye-bye bad smell. Hello sweet fragrance.
All right, let's join Buddy Adeleye now for sports news. Buddy.
Many thanks, Yari. Now, the countdown has begun as the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has unveiled the brand elements of the 15th Biennial Nigeria Police Games, set to hold in Delta State in February 2026. At a ceremony in Abuja, the IGP described the games as excellence in action, unveiling the official logo, mascot, and slogan: discipline, dignity, and dedication. Egbetokun highlighted the police force's long history of producing world-class athletes, including Olympic and Commonwealth medalists, crediting the games for discovering and grooming top talent.
We unveil here today is not a mere symbol. It carries our values: courage that protects, unity that binds, fitness that strengthens, and excellence that defines us.
The Biennial Police Games is the stage and podium upon which the current potential world champions and global sports icons get to be showcased.
Delta State is proud, as usual, to host this edition of the Games.
Now let's turn to football as Shooting Stars secured a narrow 1-0 victory over Remo Stars on Wednesday in one of the rescheduled fixtures of the Nigeria Premier Football League. The Oluyole Warriors edged their Southwest rivals thanks to a 35th minute strike from Ismail Ayodele to move 5th on the log, with Remo now 13th. In Port Harcourt, Rivers United left it late to defeat Kano Pillars 1-0 at the Adokia Misimaka Stadium. Boluwaji Shomade scored the decisive goal in the 90th minute, pushing the Pride of Rivers to 3rd on the log, while Kano Pillars remain top from bottom. And of course, away from Nigeria, Arsenal on the verge of extending their lead atop the Premier League table after seeing off Brentford in a match day 14 encounter. The match is 2-0 at the moment, and of course, Aston Villa on the verge of claiming the win of the night after coming from 2 goals down to lead against Brighton, while Burnley are trailing Crystal Palace at the moment. Leeds United currently lead Chelsea after getting 2 goals in the first half, while the match between Liverpool and Sunderland is in the second half and is still goalless. Match day 14 games will be concluded on Thursday with Manchester United up against West Ham United at Old Trafford. That's a bit on sports tonight. Let's return to air.
Many thanks, Buddy, for the updates. Now, the Ofili family of Umuasaga in Ila, Oshimili North local government area of Delta State announces the passing on to glory of their beloved matriarch, Mrs. Catherine Maka Ofili, née Moloku, at the age of 81. Mrs. Ofili was a devoted sister, wife, mother, aunt, and grandmother. Funeral arrangement released by the family indicates that the final burial service is scheduled for 10 a.m. at St. John's Catholic Church, Ogbeobi, Ila, Delta State on Thursday, 4th December 2025. And interment follows immediately at the Ofili family residence in Ila, Oshimili North local government area of Delta State. The family, with hearts full of gratitude to God Almighty for a life well spent, invites friends, well-wishers and associates to join them in paying their last respects to their departed matriarch. It's now time to take a quick peep at the weather outlook for tomorrow, Thursday. Safe here for the weather outlook for tomorrow. And that wraps up News Extra tonight. Many thanks for being a part of it. And my producer says you should stay safe as Dirty December sets in. I'm Henry John. Have a good night.